So, well, Sam, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, mate.
And it's great to sit down with you. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure thing. So, my name's Sam. Yeah, so where do I start with this?
I'm just going to check one.
Check it, mate.
Make sure we've got.
Check it. Let me think about where I want to start.
Can you just turn your chair more so you like to look in towards the camera?
Like that?
Yeah. So we've got you properly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you in the shot, yeah?
Yeah, I'm in the shot.
Sound.
So just because it makes it better for it to fully see you. Because I messed up with choppers on actually. If you go, you could see my hair transplant that I need inside of me. I need a haircut. It's all for me. So yeah. So thanks for coming on, Sam.
Yeah, no
Really
worries.
appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having me, mate. Appreciate you.
No, it's all good. And do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, just for people who don't know?
I guess in the short, we'll get into it a bit more, but I'm a martial arts instructor. I've been training martial arts since I was about 11, 12 years old. I've been teaching pretty much full time since I was 19, 20 years old. I'm now 26, 27 this year. And my main sort of, as much as I teach my martial arts classes now, my main focus going forward, business-wise, is sort of helping other instructors grow their classes, their business, their gyms, anyone that basically teaches some form of class and they're instructing, usually within sort of like the health niche and fitness training niche, I can help. So that's me in short.
And what did the young life look like for Sam? So was you in Nottingham or?
Yeah, so when I was quite young, I lived more like Loughborough way. Mum and dad, they were together till I was about 5 or 6, and then they split. And they were really loving parents. We lived at a place called Sutton Bonington. Really loving parents. Always have been. But to be fair, that first sort of 7, 8 years after they split was, let's just say that there was some difficult times. But like I say, I can't knock my mum and dad. They were both very loving to us as kids, me and my brother and my sister. I've got a younger sister, Imogen, and an older brother called Ollie. And yeah, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is that in those early years, there was quite a bit of friction and stress between mum and dad. And we were sort of in the middle at times, not always, but at times. And I think that going through that taught me a lot in life and in my early life, because I had to deal with certain things, which, yeah, it sort of, I grew up a bit of an anxious kid, self-conscious. I was overweight, asthmatic. Diagnosed with dyslexia at quite a young age, so I had all of it going for me.
The book, yeah.
Yeah, the book. But at the same time, I don't want it to make it sound like it was really bad, because it wasn't really bad. It just had a few, struggles like a lot of people do growing up. But it was good. It was good for me. It taught me adversity. It taught me how to deal with things. But mainly growing up as a kid, I was very self-conscious, people pleaser, quite anxious about stuff. Even though maybe I didn't always look like it, I was. And I always wanted people to just like me, And then as the years went on, I did a lot of team sports in my younger years, and I did enjoy aspects of it: cricket, rugby, football. Last time I ever played a team sports, though, was in about year 5 when I was playing for school. And one of my own teammates, because he was pissed off at me because I let in too many goals as a shitty defender, in the 5 minutes that they let me on after being benched for the whole 90 minutes almost, or however long the match was, I let in too many goals, and the guy spat at me, one of my own teammates. Yeah, so we were dead young, and
You knew the guy as well from your school?
Yeah, it was a classmate from school, and it was only primary school football. But again, I was an anxious kid who just wanted to please everyone, and I was never that good at sport because I was asthmatic, and I wasn't like overweight, but I was on the larger side. So yeah, and that was the last sort of team sports I ever played, because I didn't want anyone to have to rely on me. Right, which sounds funny, but so then I sort of got to like 11, 12 years old, and my mum just said, "Oh, your so and so's doing kickboxing. Do you want to go and try it?" And I thought, yeah, I could, who doesn't want to start learning to punch and kick stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, yeah, I'd definitely give that a go. Dead up for it. Went, loved it straight away. I remember coming home after my first class, teaching my mum some of the grading sets that we'd learned and stuff, and just loved it really. I think the main thing as well for me was that obviously, as much as it was martial arts and fighting and combat, it was independent. So I could work as hard or as little as I wanted to. Usually though, I always really tried to push myself, always have done. And no one was relying on me for anything apart from myself. So I like the fact that it was as much as it's a group environment and everyone's there to push and encourage each other, it was down to me on how I progress. And I knew that one day, I was surrounded, because I joined at 11, 12 years old and went straight to an adults class. There's some others that were a bit younger, and then a lot of adults. I saw these black belts, and I saw people training. I thought, oh, yeah, I want to be like that. And surrounded by good people in that club from the offset, from the go. Martin, who was my coach and sort of took me on his wing, taught me a lot. And then there was other great people in the club that taught me a lot of years. And basically, as time went on in with the kickboxing, I got 2 or 3 years in. The few mates I started with all quit and left. I carried on because I loved it. And I then started training more with the adults. So sort of 13 onwards, maybe 14 onwards, I was training a lot with adults 2 or 3 times a week, and all I did was kickboxing. I wasn't one to go out. I didn't go down the park and get pissed and smoke fags, mainly because I was just not worried about what my mum would think. So I was just kickboxing a lot.
Yeah.
I also did quite a bit of Muay Thai at the time.
Okay.
So I was just literally living and breathing martial arts. Wasn't one to. I didn't have girlfriends.
No.
I was just like, I was a bit in on myself. I had a couple of close mates. Kept myself to myself mainly, and I just spent a lot of years training. Did quite a bit of competing in those sort of 14 to 16, 17.
Yeah.
Not on a major scale, just like maybe some national events and then more local events. And I really enjoyed the competition and sparring side. But then I also loved helping other people develop. And that's when I got into like assistant coaching and helping my coach, run classes. And
And anxious in parts. Did your first, going back to your mindset on your first class, was you anxious going into that class?
I was, I guess like anyone going into any sort of new class, you're a bit nervous. It's a new environment, new people, new situation, etc. I guess, I was. I wasn't really too worried about what anyone thought of me, but I was more worried about my own fitness ability and levels. There was many times the first year or two where halfway through a warm-up, I'd be up on the against the wall, arms up, big deep breaths, etc. Popping my inhaler every few minutes. And that was me as a kid. I'd be playing football or whatever sport, run 50 yards and popping my inhaler out. It was actually a running joke at school. When I was at school, it was like a running joke. And I wasn't big and fat. I was just chubby. So I got the nickname Theodore at secondary school, from Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah.
But I guess I really enjoyed kickboxing from the offset, and it was obviously physically difficult, but I loved it. And the endorphin rush, and surrounded by good people there. So
yeah. And when you say you saw the black belts and that, and how young in the kickboxing journey did you say I want to reach that? Because I remember going to kickboxing judo classes, and you're always, the same thing happened to me. I was kind of like, that'd be, it's like God status almost, and how do you achieve that? So when did you was it immediate? You're like, I want to hit that level, and you knew in your head that you can focus on that?
Yeah, I guess I can't remember exactly when a defining moment, but from pretty early on, I thought, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And I know I could, because I guess in theory it was simple, but in practicality it was difficult, because you had to turn up each week and push yourself, and it was ultimately, I always say this to my own students, I can give you the advice, I can give you as much push and encouragement and motivation, whatever as needs be, but ultimately it's down to you.
Yeah.
It's how you deal with the hardship and the physical and mental barriers that come with training. And I stupidly, like, I would train and I'd get, my asthma would sort of impact a little bit, and I'd get wheezy, and stupidly, I don't know why I used to do this, but I would see how long I could go hitting pads, doing whatever exercise was asked of me, whilst knowing I'm wheezing without taking my inhaler. Sounds stupid. I should have always gone side and popped my inhaler. Some weeks I didn't have it because I forgot it, and I, for some reason, I don't know if I don't think I was punishing myself, but like, I sort of thrived a little bit off that little bit of pain. And every time I had those sessions and got to the end, I thought, that's number one ticked off, and I just need to keep at this. And I'll be a black belt one day. I just need to be fitter and stronger. So I was training 2 or 3 times a week, and then I was also training outside of class in my dad's garage. Bag hung up, speedball on the wall.
Was you?
Yeah,
The old Rocky.
Yeah. Skipping rope.
Yeah.
And I was just obsessed.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
That's the thing. I think you do have to become obsessed with something like that, because going 1 class a week or 2 classes a week it's good, but it's the work that you do outside of that, the head movement, there's so many, I mean, you know way more than me, but the head movement, the little things that you won't pick up from the sessions that you need to learn outside of that. So
Yeah, I used to do a lot of shadow boxing.
Yeah,
outside of class.
okay.
A lot of skipping.
Did you feel stupid doing shadow boxing to start off with? Because that's a kind of,
Yeah,
do you know, to start off with, you
Yeah,
look in the
yeah.
mirror and you think, I look stupid or I'm not good, but you get into a rhythm.
yeah, you do. Yeah, so that's something that a lot of my members always say, they feel stupid when shadow boxing. I say, yeah, you might look like a sausage, but no one, say in the kindest way possible, no one cares what you look like. You know, they're thinking about themselves, which is true. And yeah, I got over it pretty quickly. I used to do a lot of shadow boxing at my dad's, in the garage, in the garden, skipping. And I just remember like just drilling stuff, you know, the jab, boom, and just drilling round kicks and just drilling it, like basic combos. And I knew that just doing the reps, probably because I'd read it somewhere, probably because my coach told me, but I just knew that doing the same thing lots and lots of times over and over and over again in lots of, you know, in different environments was good for me. And I wasn't bothered about doing anything else. So yeah, I didn't maybe initially I felt a bit stupid doing it, but now quickly left.
Yeah. And can you remember the feeling of getting your first belt? You know, when you get that, so you go from white to, is it?
Well, actually, we don't do white belt
Okay.
kickboxing, freestyle kickboxing. You go from ungraded to red belt.
Okay.
So you go ungraded. I was probably training for 3 or 4 months, and then I got put in for my red belt, which, to be fair, isn't an overly difficult belt to achieve as long as you're doing the right things. It's like, you know, and then obviously the gradings do get more and more difficult as time goes on. But yeah, I got my red belt with gas. You know, I loved it. Like, tie on my red belt. And actually, it's funny because I tell this to my members a lot as well, that you'll get a great feeling when you hit your black belt. It's an amazing feeling. But actually, one of the best feelings can often be that when you achieve those first few belts. You know, I love being like a red yellow belt. Probably like, you know, as I got into my second or third belt, I loved it because I was like, I know I'm not there, but I'm also not there.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an orange belt. Whatever it was, you know, at the time. And I just appreciated being any level, really, to be fair. I knew that with patience and time, I'll achieve and continue to achieve and do whatever I want to do with it.
Yeah.
With the kickboxing, yeah.
So what you said, mental challenges of training, what are they for you, in short? What is the hardest things about training in kickboxing?
Yeah, the mental side, definitely. Physically, it's always hard. It never gets easy. It doesn't matter how fit you are. I've got a lot fitter over the years, believe it or not, and still got a long way to go. But like with the kickboxing, but also I've done a few like long distant run events and stuff, like marathons and stuff, and it's all comes down to the mental and how much you can push yourself. And again, it's what I'm always telling my members is like, you know, physically I can push you, but you need to dig deep within yourself.
Yeah.
And push. Sorry, what was your question again?
No, it was more about the mental resilience that's needed to, like, what are the challenges? Because going back to when you said that you push yourself with your inhaler, I think that's something that I rate that. I think that's a great thing, because I know it's not medically advised.
Stupid.
Yeah. But you know, when you're talking about resilience and pushing past your limits, you know then what you can achieve, and you know that you want to do this, because who wants to do that? Who wants to feel, I've not had asthma, but who wants to feel like how you'd feel, like the wheeziness, out of breath? So it's taking yourself past that and knowing that, you know what, I actually enjoy this sort of work.
Yeah.
You know, whether that's long distance running, kickboxing, whether it is you enjoy that kind of work.
I think the reason that I enjoy doing that, or what I've learned, at least what I've learned over the years, is that pushing myself physically in whatever respect, I do that, and I'm pretty disciplined with it, and it's not hard for me to get up and go on a run anymore, go out and lift kettlebells or whatever, or kickbox or box, because I know that if I can push myself in that and push myself to the depths and really go hard and have those hard mental barriers, I was about to say that other things in life are easy. They're not easy, but they're a lot easier. You know, like raising 2 kids quite young, setting up a business, all the hardship that comes with that, which I'm not going to say that I went from having, you know, debt to like making loads of money, but like it's not been easy.
No.
And anything I've ever earned has been reinvested. And like there's been times where things go really, like, we're going to digress slightly, but like what I'm getting at is the things that I found through training and the resilience side of the mindset that you have to have to pushing yourself to the depths. Once you get good at that or better and you're able to be consistent, that crosses over into other areas of your life, you know? And that's why I do it. I mean, in the early years, I guess it was because I wanted to become a black belt. And then I kept pushing. To be fair, there was a stint just before having Alfie, our youngest, and our oldest, sorry, there was a stint when we had him, and then for a year or two after, maybe 3, where I didn't train at all, and I felt like shit. I got to 80, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was 80 something kilos.
Okay.
All right, it must have been 85 kilos. 2 years later, I was down to 65 kilos.
Wow.
So and I was fit at the time, because that was when I was boxing, and I had a boxing fight. And anyway, I got back into the routine of training, and doing that, I found that everything else in life improved. And so now it's a must of my life. Don't get me wrong, there's times where I fall off the wagon slightly. For example, back in the last year, coming into this year, I fell off a little bit with training because just there's so much work to do, and kids and stuff. But anyway, I like to stay on it with that stuff because it makes everything else in life feel easier. Because, like I said, if I can push myself to run long distances, or I can push myself to do multiple rounds, sparring or pad work or whatever it might be, then I can do the other stuff, the other
Definitely.
life stuff, you know.
Yeah. It makes you feel like, I think it makes you feel like when you've done that, you put your head into a situation of when everybody says, oh, imagine that person over there, they're struggling more, but you can't visualize that in a way. You can think about it, but you can't feel it. So do you know when you go like on a long run, for example, and you know what that felt like? Oh, that was fucking awful. Or, oh, I remember like I was blowing out my arse, or whatever it was, because you always struggle on these sort of things. But it kind of makes, like you say, everything easy, because you've already, you know that feeling, and you push past that. So this actually, I just need to do it, sort of thing.
Yeah,
rather than
exactly right. And I think, if we're gonna get into it, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. Like, the world nowadays, too many people are quick to moan, find stuff hard, aren't able to deal with stress, and whatnot. And I think that I'm not a professional, right, in this respect, and I don't have the answers, but I do think it makes perfect sense for kids from a young age to be strongly encouraged to take part in physical activity that pushes them and makes them breathe out their arse, and is physically demanding, because that teaches them a lot for further life and makes things a whole lot easier. And yeah,
I don't think you need to be an expert. I don't think you need to be.
I know.
It's more of just general opinion, and I think I completely agree with that. 100%. I think that's everybody that goes through something like that is obviously a more resilient person and can deal with more things in the future. So kickboxing, then you mentioned that you go up to assistant coach, so you're kind of moving up the ranks quite quickly. Not quickly, it's been a long time, but you're moving up the ranks. What kind of belt do you have to be an assistant coach? And what made you want to be an assistant coach?
Yeah, so I guess I was quite young, and I was helping out because I started in the adults class. After I was there for a few years, he started a kids class. He would then be like, as a teenager, do you want to come and help me out with the kids? You know, these are like 6, 7, 8 years old, and I was probably 14, 15. So I was like, yeah, cool. Went along, and I just loved it. I just loved being able to, for me, it was a challenge of being able to get things across to a child, for them to be able to understand and take action on it quickly, and to be able to progress, which is hard to do. Teaching kids, every kid's different. I teach hundreds of kids every week. Every kid's different, and the way in which they learn is different. And to me, it was really interesting, the psychology behind that, and knowing how to put things across. And so I just loved it. And then you know, I can't remember exactly what belt I was, but I know I was about 15, 16, and I was offered to go on a coaching team course, like a program, which I did, which was like a weekend long thing, and then there was assessments ongoing after and stuff. And yeah, I passed that and started coaching a bit more. Mainly for like the kids classes, and was training a lot myself for a few years. And then what happened is that I was helping I was helping assist my 17. I'd been assisting for a while, but I decided that, and I'd loved working with the kids. And because I'd loved working with the kids, I thought, well, I want to do the Camp America thing, right? So, and I'd seen other people do it. So I was like, yeah, I want to do that. Yeah. But at the time, I was working an apprenticeship with a guy locally who owns like a motorbike parts online business.
Okay.
So he basically sells Aprilia motorbike parts.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had an apprenticeship doing that. It was shitty pay, shitty work situation. I was like, okay, well, I want to go to America and do this 3 months Camp America. So I did. I went to America, did 3 months on a rich kids camp. It was a crazy experience. You know, these kids and their families have ridiculous amounts of money. And anyway, it was a mad experience. And when I was there, I met people from all around the world. You know, every country you could imagine, met people from. And there's a lot of people that were like me. They'd been at or college, university, or their job back home, and they would just come in to do this bit and then go back. And there were some people there that were like, this was just part of their year where after this they were going to go traveling, and then they had like some of them might have had a business online or something. I thought, I love kickboxing. I was out there, I was like, I want to live a life. I didn't have kids at the time, obviously, but I want to live a life that I really enjoy, and I love kickboxing. I know that I've got a good thing going on with assistant coaching, and I knew there was people doing it full time as a job and or as a business and making it work. So I thought, well, why am I different? I can do the same. So I remember being out there, having deep chats with some of the local, you know, guys that I met out there, probably after we were drunk or whatever. And I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna email my boss and just be like, I'm not coming back. So I did an email with him saying I'm not coming back to the apprenticeship. I probably spoke to my dad as well, because he ended up giving me some labour work for a while when I got back. But I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Thanks. And he replied, yeah, good luck. You know, it's fine. Anyway, I got back a few months later. I launched my first class. I sat down with the head of our club. We organised an agreement, because I am part of an organisation. So organised the agreement between us. Then I was able to set up my first, I think it was just the one class at the time, 9:30 Saturday morning AM class at a local primary school. And that was the start of the teaching kickboxing. And at the same time, I was working 5 days a week labouring for my dad, who operates a business where they do loft conversions called West Bridgeford Loft Conversions. Check them out. And so I did that 5 days a week, building my Saturday class, trying to run one-to-ones, because I thought, well, if I could charge £25-30 an hour, you know, at 19 years old, it was like, okay. Between all those things, I thought, oh, I'll be quid's in. Got into it, and then it sort of, everything changed from then onwards.
How cool. Like to go to America, and that if you didn't have that experience in Camp America, would you might have got there eventually, but
I might have eventually, but I probably would have been a lot longer. But the thing was with this apprenticeship is that I was promised that after 6 months I can start selling. The thing that sold me the apprenticeship was that you can make commission long term. So I thought, I've always, 16 years old, I was trying to set up businesses, right? Trying to sell stuff and make money. So I thought, I'll get into the apprenticeship, I'll be on that shitty wage, but after 6 months I'll start making commissions by selling stuff on eBay. Anyway, 6 months went by, it didn't happen. Another few months went by, it didn't happen. This kept happening. So I went out there knowing that, with that resentment of my old boss. Thought, well, fuck it, I'm not, you keep promising me the world, nothing's happening. I need shit to happen now. I need to move forward, because I've got a lot more to offer than just packing and picking fucking parts. You know, or picking and packing parts. And so I came back, started teaching. I spent a good couple of years focusing mainly on one-to-ones. I got to like 20 a week. I had a few classes. But it was draining. You know, 30 quid an hour, cool. You know, you've got your room rate. I was doing decently. I was living at home at the time, so it was all good. But you know, it wasn't quite what I'd imagined it would have been. I also had dropped my own training at the time, so I went from training lots of times a week to doing nil, teaching other people. Spending all these hours, doing crazy hours, waking up at 5:30 to be somewhere for 6 to do a few early mornings. Then Friday nights at 9 p.m. I'd still be doing one-to-ones. Saturday morning, be up in the morning. It was just logistically a nightmare. Burnout. Then I found out we were having Alfie. So I was 20 years old. I found out we were having Alfie, and I knew I had a decent thing going. Lots of one-to-ones, 2 or 3 classes, maybe 4 or 5. I can't quite remember at the time. But I thought, right, I need to change the way up. I need to change up the way we're going to.
I was going to say, how do you do that?
So, I mean, just quickly on that note, when we found out we were having Alfie, I was driving back from Jess's in my little Corsa. And I was halfway down the road just playing some songs, you know, good sunny day, good vibes. And anyway, I got a phone call from Jess, and I just left. She's phoning me. This is strange. Answer the call, and she's shouting, "You get back to mine now," crying. Didn't say why. Like, okay, babe. Turn the phone off. Pulled around on this controller. I said to myself, she's pregnant. And I just knew she's pregnant. I thought,
you had a
how? You know what I mean? I thought, how is this the case? But I thought, she's pregnant. I thought, right, okay, I'm going to go in thinking she's pregnant. Then it just prepares me for anything else that might come after. And I was just smiling the whole way. I was like, okay. Because I'd always liked the idea, imagine the idea of being a young dad. I thought, okay, cool, fine. Control, calmed. Went in the house, and mum was like, you better go upstairs, go see her. Walked in, and she was like, crying all day, I'm pregnant. And I just laughed. I just laughed. I was like, okay. Right. And I tried to calm her down. I was like, it's cool. It's cool. And she was just so worried about what I would think. You know, like what I would think about the situation. She was worried about what our parents, my mum and dad would think. People in general. Really anxious and nervous about it. We'd also had 2 or 3 years where she'd been dealing with a lot of bad epilepsy episodes.
Okay.
So we were coming off the back of that,
Yeah.
but it was sort of still actually in the midst of it, really.
Mm.
So it was just a lot of stress. All my brain went to, as a typical man, whatever, is like, right, how am I going to provide? And I knew I had a decent thing going with the kickboxing. I was like, okay, cool. Now I've been on a few courses. Now I really need to invest my time, energy, money, and effort into learning more so I can grow this stuff to be able to provide for Jess and my future kid, so that we can eventually move out this 1 bedroom, etc. And then I spent the next 2 or 3 years just heavily reinvesting back into my own skills and knowledge, resources. I worked with 5 or 6 different people around the UK who are like some of the best in business and marketing, specifically for martial arts businesses. Spent thousands. Like, when I say thousands, they're probably between coaching, mentoring, like systems, anything to do with the business. Probably spent the best part of like now 60-70 grand.
Really?
Yeah, which I guess in the I mean, you look at it like that, like people go to uni for a few years, they spend whatever they spend. I don't know, because I never wanted to go or went, but like they'll spend all that money. I spend a similar, if not a bit more, over 8-9 years. But the return has been obviously really great. So, but yeah, it just went hard. And we can talk more about that in a minute if you want.
Yeah, so it gave you focus.
Yeah,
It gave you like a moment where it was like, kick up the arse. Do you know what I need to?
Sure.
You want to provide. So you want to be the best for Alfie that you can. So yeah, you need to reinvest, and instead of running away from it, you actually was like, no, I need to get my shit in order.
Go at it. Yeah, because I knew that the one-to-ones and the way I was running it, I was probably doing a couple grand a month at the time, but it wasn't long term, and it didn't provide me a lifestyle that I wanted. So I was like, I need to change this up, and it took a few years after that to learn, take action on stuff that I'd learned, grow certain classes. I had multiple locations over time, and eventually I sort of streamlined the process, which is why my new service is called the Streamlined Instructor. And I got to a point eventually where, I could stop doing the one-to-ones. I could just teach classes, which meant, and the money that came in from that, I was able to provide from us as a family. Be able to pay my bills, have the time that we want to spend together to do the things we want, to a degree. And
that felt great going from the Aprilla lad, only 3-4 years ago to
well, actually now, so what am I now? I'm 26, 19.
But at that time,
at that time, I was like 17, 18 when I started there. But
to go from like that and being a bit unsure, to then you see the progression of, you've got your classes, now you're thinking smart, you're thinking cleverly about it. So you're thinking,
trying,
so you've got your classes, I can either do this forever, and virtually take everything out of you, because like you say, he was working all them hours, he was getting up at doing Friday when you finish work, you're doing one-to-ones. It's not sustainable. If anything, it's taking you away from your family as well. So
oftentimes where I'd be driving to a session, a one-to-one or class, sleep deprived. I probably wasn't eating well. I wasn't training. I'd pull up on the side of the road and I'd be just bawling my eyes out. Just crying because of no particular reason. It just all those things, just tired, and just I never wanted to I never told myself I want to stop doing this, or I never had any deep dark thoughts, but I was just tired. And I remember thinking, I really need to get on top of this.
you need to change.
And that was even when I was opening more classes and reinvesting and upskilling. But so that was the business sort of was growing, but also at the same time, my health wasn't. My health was poor. My sleep was poor. My nutrition was really bad in the first couple of years having Alfie. I wasn't training. It was actually COVID that I got back into training.
Okay, so there's a lot of people did backyard training, all that sort of stuff.
I got into couch 5k because I could never run more than a kilometre or two.
Really?
Yeah. Shit.
What?
Mate, I couldn't run for shit.
Wow.
Always avoided running as a kid. Anyway, I did couch 5k during lockdown, and I thought, and this is the shit I love, because it brought me back to my early days in martial arts, where it was hard. It was hard as shit. I don't know if you've ever done couch 5k, but the way they do it is you do 2 or 3k first for the first week or two, and that's through running and walking, build it up over 30 odd days. And I loved the pressure that came with it and the mental challenge. And then for anyone that runs, and anyone that's watching, the feeling you have after a run, there's nothing like it. Boxing, great, all these martial arts, we're lifting, but running, and the feeling you get on the back end It's fucking amazing.
The runner's high.
Yeah, the runner's high.
The runner's high. Because it's horrible doing it, thinking about I'm going to go and do it. You know, oh, fucking hell. Do it gets you like that. I've got to really go
First
do that.
kilometre or two.
Yeah. But then when you get to the end, you're like, I smashed that.
Yeah.
And it always happens. So yeah, it is good. It is good just to get up and go and do it. So it is good.
Fully.
Definitely. And when you talk about like the reinvesting, do you think if you didn't reinvest, do you think you'd be where you are today?
No.
And is it important?
Very important. Anyone that runs any sort of business should reinvest. Yes, in physical things like for the business. Like, okay, if we're going to talk about instructors here, because that's sort of who I work with, the most important thing to invest in is your own skills and knowledge around marketing and processes and learning how to provide people with a good experience, right? Because and I've worked with gym owners in the past and whatnot, and they have an amazing gym. They've got all the equipment. They spend tens of thousands of pounds on it. But if you don't know how to get someone to walk through the door, and then if you don't know how to talk to that person and get them to want to be a part of what you have to offer and then start paying you, you're going to be stuck. And this is what a lot of people do. They think because they're buying all the best shit and they've got the best setup that people are just going to want to come. Well, maybe some people, but the vast majority aren't. The most important thing is to reinvest in your skills and your knowledge. Unfortunately, I've got a natural, I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I love the psychology around marketing and advertisement. I love the process around building stuff and generating leads and then turning those leads into people that want to pay you and that want to be a big part of your community and whatever. I love that process. Some people find that a massive ball ache. So actually for me, reinvesting and learning and working with different people was a pleasure. And I was happy to spend the money, for anything from £200 or £300 for a weekend course to thousands of pounds for one-to-one mentor. And I was always fairly happy to do it because I knew that these skills and everything I was learning, one, I was passionate about it, but two, I could sort of structure my own business off the skills and whatever that I'd learned. And also I knew that one day I'd get to a point, which is where I'm sort of at now, is I can help family and friends. Yeah. And that for me, it gives me goosebumps when I think about it, but that's the biggest pleasure. Yeah. You're right. Is like, I've had friends of family this past year or two come to me and be like, I need help with this. I don't know what to do. And to be able to just help them and then them go away, take action and stuff happen. That's great. And yes, I was setting up a business around helping people with that, but I just genuinely love it. I've got real passion for it. And so to answer your question, anyone that wants to get into growing a business that they want to, consistently grow and be profitable, one of the most important things is learning how to market. Not even like necessarily sales, because sales, like obviously you want to get better at knowing how to sell, and that's a very generic word. Sales can be lots of different things, but just learning how to get your stuff out there and get people in through the door is the number one priority. And then so the streamlined coach. The streamlined instructor. Yeah. When did it start to transition from? So obviously you need more time with your family. When did it start to transition? When did we come from one-to-ones to I want to change? I want to help other people. So what happened is I was doing a lot of one-to-ones, a few classes a week. Eventually I started opening more classes to the point where I was doing 16 classes a week, 250 odd plus members, 0 one-to-ones. Alongside running my 16 classes a week, throughout the year, I'd be running like summer camps, half-term camps, workshops, courses for my members, adding value, and then again, earning off the back end of that. And then in March last year, Marley had just been born. So for a few years, I was doing my classes and doing what I just said there. But then January last year, Marley was born, and I was going through a lot of personal issues. Again, I won't get into it, but what I'll briefly say is that for a lot of last year, a lot of people don't know this, but December 2023 to sort of July, maybe 2024, I was seeing a therapist, I was dealing with a lot of shit, and it was a hard time. And I got to a point where going out in the evenings was difficult for me because I didn't want to leave the boys. I didn't want to leave Jess. I was struggling a little bit with stuff. So I closed one of my locations, which meant I closed 4 classes as well. So then I got to the point where I was just teaching 12 classes a week. Then my Saturday location, I closed the class there. I'm basically down to like 10 classes a week now, or 10 hours is the equivalent. And I'm sort of jumping back and forth here, but I did that. And then I was like, okay, now that I've got going on what I'm earning what I want to through those 10 hours a week, I'm spending the time that I want to with my family, it would be nice to be able to help more people and hopefully upgrade our lifestyle level to that next point where like there's real financial security. Like we're financially secure now, but like to be super financially secure so that, God forbid, one of my family members got ill, I could take years off and not have to worry, right? So I was like, well, I know I can help people who are instructors and I want to go to businesses. I know I have a love and a passion for it. So I'm just going to do it. And for the past 2 or 3 years, I've done stuff, here and there, paid advertisement, general like consultancy work, got paid for it, but nothing properly. And then it was, mainly when I met Ryan, I started working with him, I was like, I know I could help him.
Yeah.
I knew I could help him, and he would probably watch it at some point. But during our sessions, we would chat about business, and I'd give bits of advice, and I'd happily help where I could. And and then we met up and we chat and we spoke, and he just wanted to work together. I knew he had this gym, I knew it was a big opportunity. So and here we are now, and we're still in the process, still a long way to go. But I guess, thanks Ryan, Chopper, helping him has given me a bit more confidence to know that, no, I really do know what I'm doing. And I've helped people before him, don't get me wrong, like I've helped people before him, but helping him and having him constantly on at me, ask me questions, and me having to answer them and actually help him has given me a lot. And then I was like, through helping him, I was like, right, I'm going to build a proper program out of this, a proper business. And that's when I started pushing out more Instagram content, sort of back end of last year, which is hard to do. It's a pain in the arse, but get more familiar with it now. And now I'm on the verge of releasing like a real program for that I consistently get people into to really, whether they're a solo instructor teaching just for a few hours a week out of halls and whatnot, or they want to open a big gym and really go for the masses, what I have to offer can help both.
Okay.
So
do you know, working with Ryan Chopper, do you think that kind of, in a way, solidified that what you know is true?
Yes. And I already sort of knew it before, but because I was so close with him training anyway for myself, kettlebells, we're chatting about that, and then like we built up a bit of a friendship, and then he's obsessed, right, with business and growing his stuff, and he's really passionate and he wants to help people. And again, because like we have an agreement where we talk almost every day, and he's always on at me asking questions, which I'm happy to obviously have, because I guess you're right. It solidified that I do know what I'm doing. And then since working with him, I've had chats with tens of other instructors across the UK. Just trying to. I went into the start of this year, 2025, telling myself that for the first 6 months of the year, I just want to offer goodwill and help as many people as I can without expecting anything in return. And that's what I've done, and I will continue to do. And obviously, if people want to work with me on an onto a basis, then yes, they can stop paying to work with me, and we work together, and we go at their business and we make it work. But it gave me a bit more confidence to properly put myself out there. I don't feel the imposter syndrome anymore, really. If I don't know something that's been put across to me, I'll go out and I figure out how to do it. And I've got a network of people I've worked with in the past, and that fortunately I'm surrounded by. So there's people out there that, should I need help, I can turn to. But it did.
Yeah. I can imagine that you knew what you did, but sometimes it's like training boxing and then you go to a fight. You kind of think you might be good, but when you actually go out there and put your skills on show, and you're like, oh, I'm actually all right at this. You might think you're rubbish, and then you go and do it, you're kind of like, I'm actually okay. Or a run, oh, I'm not fit enough for that. You go and do a 5K and you're like, I'm actually all right. It solidifies that for you, makes you think all the effort and time you're putting into it, you do know your stuff, because you was an instructor. You're not just come off the couch and telling people how to do things. You've actually lived the life of
this is it.
Whole.
Yeah. And I've had deep chats myself. I'm that guy. I'll sit there by myself and I'll just think, I'll literally talk to myself sometimes. And like over the past 8 years, in terms of like people that have actually joined up, I don't have this many members now, but in terms of people that have signed up and paid me and wanted to be a part of my kickboxing school, it's been 660 plus people that have signed up on a membership at some point or another. We're hovering around the 180, 190 mark now with the few hours I teach per week. But I've signed up, so that's just 600 people that I've signed up. There's thousands more that have come through. So I've done it. I've been through all those awkward situations with new people. I've been through a lot of it, and I've still got a long way to go. Obviously, I'm only 8 years in. But so then when someone like Ryan has come to me and they're starting out, or they've got a little bit of a thing going on, like I'm able to help, and that feels great. So,
because I spoke to Ryan about it, and he says his business wouldn't be where it is today without your involvement. So I think that's just a a nice thing to say.
that.
Yeah, it is.
Someone pay him to say that.
Yeah, he's
Someone pay him to say.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Respect.
I think
It's just nice.
it's the case of like, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
I would be where I wasn't. Yeah, I wouldn't be where I am now had I not worked with certain people.
Yeah.
And reinvested into myself and back into the business. And it's then that's one thing, right? Is paying to work with people or paying for a service or whatever. But it's then doing the reps. You know, anyone can pay for a gym. You've got to turn up. Anyone can pay for a business coach. You've got to take action on what the advice they give you. And then not only do you take action, but you've got to be persistent. You've got to be almost a bit obsessed. Unfortunately, Ryan he's obsessed. Like, he's obsessed with the whole process, not because he just wants to make decent money as a gym owner or whatever. He genuinely loves helping people. And I say that to people all the time, like, especially instructors that I work with. If you could do it for free for the next 10 years, and be happy to just do it, then you're in the right, you're in the right job, career, business, whatever. You've got to have that. I'd be happy to teach kickboxing. I did for years, assistant coaching. I didn't get paid for it. I was just happy to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Um,
And what's one of the biggest, when you talk about marketing, what's one of the biggest things you'd say you've learned in marketing? Because marketing's huge. Like,
yeah, it's a big word.
It's a huge, big word. And to a lot of people, it can mean different things. Some people can think of it as this, as that, whether it's marketing, could be PR, it could be, it's quite a confusing term, I think, to use. But what's one of the biggest things you've learned in marketing that's been the most useful for you? Would you say?
Good question.
Because there's so many.
I like that question. So if I'm going to talk in terms of like what I do, growing my martial arts school and helping other instructors, I think the most important thing when it comes to your marketing is showing who you are as a person, right? Like, as an individual and your character, and getting that across through your content and stuff. Having a good offer that is out there and people can see. That they're two important things. So yeah, showing your true self, because people buy from people who are part of, like, for example, Ryan, right? We just stick on him for a second. Any other instructors that's got a decent community. Okay, people are paying to come along to that class, but people are ultimately also paying to be a part of that community, that vibe, that energy. That's very important. I guess in a sense, in its own way, that's marketing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting your character across and showing your true self. Having a good offer, very important. And through your content and so like Instagram, Facebook, email stuff, basically showing people that you understand their fears, worries, objections, problems, issues, and you understand those things, and you understand where they've been in the past and how that's been a problem for them, and how they're skeptical of anything else going forward, and showing them how you and your team and your services are different, and how you can genuinely help them. And then you do that, but then when they come down and they get involved with what you have to offer, you have to then actually follow through on what you've sort of shown, right? You have to be that person, that charismatic leader.
Yeah.
You have to be that person that they know, like, and trust, and you can build rapport with. It's very important, because I think a lot of people manipulate marketing and advertisement by pretending to be this thing and this person offering this service and whatever, and then people turn up and that's not the case. So yeah, you've got to be genuinely like good with people, provide a good service, very important. But then all those other things matter as well, and then you tie them together.
I think authenticity really does have a big part to play in it, because especially now, there's so many weird
nowadays.
Yeah, you don't really know if people are true or if they're not. When you've got these Forex traders and give me $2,000 and this sort of stuff. I think it makes, when you've got a face to it, where you're making videos that, to be honest with you, that are not overly edited. I quite like
more raw ones.
I do, actually, because for my opinion, when I like the overly edited with the text everywhere and all that sort of stuff, but I don't know. I'd rather just somebody have a camera in a way and just talk to me. It still introduce motion elements and things like that, but it feels to me more authentic.
I prefer that too.
Yeah.
I think
It's just personal preference.
Yeah, me too. I think that's where the way the world's headed, to be fair. I think years ago, like when there was a lot of people pushing content, someone new coming into the market and you're trying to advertise services and you don't have long form content that people can go and view and see the real you, and you're just putting out stuff like that, that gives them a weird sensation, a feeling. It's like, is this true? Is this not? Is this real? Is this not? Which is why I think, like, if we're talking about marketing and like part of that is copywriting, right?
Yeah.
When you're talking to someone, when you're writing an ad, when you're writing any marketing material, it's got to have your language and tonality and everything behind it to show your true self. This is why so many people shouldn't use ChatGPT until they know how to use it properly.
Yeah, AI is going to be a huge... That's another thing as well, actually, when you don't really know if it's the person in a way.
Yeah, crack that door. Is that
Yeah, go for it, mate. Yeah, of course. Yeah, no worries. So yeah, you don't really... So with AI, you don't really know if it's the person. And that's the only thing, like, you can go on a site like Fiverr and somebody's charging you money when they just go to AI to get this and that sort of thing. So you don't... That's why authenticity and trust is the number one thing. And that's what I think in marketing anyway. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, you've got all the cost per acquisitions, all this sort of stuff, the Google ads and stuff. That's the nice to have, but without an actual person or something legitimate that people believe in. And see the example with you. If somebody wanted out there watching wanted to have you as a mentor, they could ring you up whenever. You're a real person. You know, you're not this person that goes, Sunday morning, 6 p.m. for 20 minutes is all you get with me.
Yeah, sure.
You know, you're this real person with a lot of knowledge that's reinvested. So I think that's quite important, and that comes through on your socials. Is that what you're trying to go for?
I'm glad you said that, because that's what I'm trying to push for, is like, I'm just being myself.
Yeah.
I'm trying to show, you know, how I live my life and not be fake with it. I don't own a fucking, you know, Porsche, not yet, but I don't own a Porsche and wear Rolex and fucking, you know, go here, there and everywhere whenever I want.
Because I think some people, it becomes more about materials after a bit than actually helping people. And I think you can see that in some of this stuff. You know, early years, they're on it. They've earned the money, and then they kind of distance in a way. They're kind of keeping the beast alive in a way. And you can see that.
No, in my content, I just try and come across, just me.
Yeah.
And genuine, and, you know, we all have flaws. Sometimes I like to highlight that in my content because what it does is it creates a bit of, what's the word? You know, vulnerability.
Yeah.
And it helps people relate. And it's the same when I'm teaching classes. I'm stood in front the front of the class teaching 30 members, kids or adults. I fuck up. You know, I say the wrong thing, or I say something stupid, or I say a joke that doesn't come across as a joke. I did it 2 nights ago. You know, 8 years in, I'm still doing it, and you learn from all that. And actually, just being your true self and.
That's it. Yeah.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
And anyone that's trying to push content online and advertisement to build their business, then make sure that as you're reading it or watching back, you can be like, yeah, that's fully me.
Yeah. Remove the corporate voice.
Yeah, corporate voice. Fully remove it. You know, like,
it's hard to do that. You know?
It's hard to do that,
because when you've got a camera on, you think, I've got to be super professional. I've got to kind of put this persona on of who I am. And then you go off and you're like, different. Obviously, you can't say certain things that you might say outside, but keeping that character, I think that's the people, like you said, the vulnerability links to that as well, because most people don't want to be vulnerable. They don't. Well, they want to be perfect.
Yeah,
they want
perfect's non-existent. No, it doesn't happen.
No
one's perfect ever, and you'll never be perfect. So the quicker you can get to realize that, the better. As long as you're trying your best, that's the most important thing. And also, just a few things that just sprung to mind as you said that is like. Another thing, like, be yourself, because ultimately no one really cares about you or me or that person. They care fully about themselves. Everyone in their head is their main character. And I have issues with this all the time, you know, days where I think, what does this person think? Or what do they think? Still do now. But I've reminded myself, no one cares. No one's sat at home thinking about me. They think about themselves because they've got all their own shit. Where was I going with this? Something about corporate, and I can't quite remember. But anyone that's an instructor and that is looking to grow their business, your marketing becomes easier when you are just basically showing your true authentic self, and when you're highlighting the stuff that's going on in your business and you're sharing that through content. Marketing isn't then hard or difficult. It's just an extension of what's actually happening in reality.
Just as a little example of this, again, in boxing, just because that's where you get a lot of this sort of real characters coming out.
Yeah, you do.
And people are very vulnerable. Yeah. So you see somebody at the front. I once had a coach at the front, and they're
they're obviously like, they've had many fights, they've had many victories, many losses, they've been through the works, you know, you can imagine. And at the end, they stood at the front of the class and said, I struggle too. And you think, no chance. But you don't, because you see them at the front and they're teaching whatever they're teaching, you don't necessarily see that. And I think it makes you feel like, it makes you bond with a person to go, so they're not God, or they're not like untouchable, or they're not like so high in level, they struggle too. And it's great to hear that. And when, I think the class that I was in at the time, when I heard that, I think was all kind of like come together a bit more, because it kind of gets rid of the hierarchy of levels and makes you think, you know what, we're all learning, we're all, some of us know how to do things more than others because of time and focus and attention to what they're learning, but it's that whole thing, we're all struggling here, you know. It's not easy doing this sort of thing. So I think that's just an example of how I would see that sort of somebody leading from the front, always telling people that I struggle.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and I'm a big fighter with a great record, and I struggle.
Yeah.
You know, and
I think anyone that's in a business or whatever, or not even a business, just some sort of part of a community, if you can get that across to people and show people, they'll appreciate it a lot more. Like you say, it just tightens that bond.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone says it, but it's no one has it bang on. Everyone struggles one way or another. Some people more than others. But there's lots of factors that come into stuff like how you live your day-to-day life and stuff, right? But yeah, doesn't matter who you are. There's always things.
And if people want to like get involved with your new program that you can help people with, what do they have to do? What do they have to do? What do they?
Yeah. Do you mean like the help people, like the instructors and stuff?
Yeah. So like how you helped Chopper, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
How would they want it? What would they need to do to be taken on board by yourself?
Sure. So, I mean, the first thing is they need to be an instructor who either wants to teach or are currently teaching. The common issues that the people that I work with have are they struggle to get leads or members at the volume that they need in order to be able to fill their classes. They are struggling to make the sort of hit the revenue that they want to hit each month, to take out the profits that they want to at the back end of each month to provide for their family. And number three, they're usually sort of like really overworked, tired. They're trying to juggle all the fucking plates of running a business, wear all the hats, if you like. They're the three common issues, and they're the three things that I help fix for instructors. So, you know, and like I mentioned briefly, ideally, it's got to be, you know, ideally you're invested mentally, physically, and financially in wanting to actually pursue this, because that shows that you really are trying. There are a lot of people that I work with that are just starting out, or they've been at it for 12 months, 18 months, whatever. They want to go to that next level, but they're just not sure how. Because for some people, word of mouth, referrals from the offset can work really well, and they can get a good base off that. And if you start with that, then you know, going at it with like paid advertisement and really systemizing the whole business is going to be a lot easier. But yeah, help gym owners too, anyone that's on a larger level. But if anyone wants to get involved, it's quite simple. You've got to have something that you have a class of some kind that you want to teach to a local area, and then just drop me a message. And usually the way it works is I will, you know, back and forth, just ask a few questions. If anyone wants to ever just hop on a call and speak to ask me anything, I do that week to week all the time. People just have general questions. I will never try and like pitch something in those calls or sell you anything. It's just like, I'll answer your questions, and if you want to know more, then I'll happily explain how things work going forward. Like I mentioned at the start of this sort of chat, I'm on the verge of releasing like a 90-day program, which effectively gives an instructor everything that they need in order to be able to go away to create consistent growth in their business. It's taken me a little bit of time to build out, but it's basically, I've taken all the things that I've learned over the past 8 years, everything I've invested in software wise, you know, all my skills and knowledge resources, and I've compiled them into like a package, if you like. And yeah, it's that's how it works, really.
It sounds like it excites you.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I really love it. And some people are in the business for the same as me, like they really love genuinely helping people. Some people just want to earn a lot of money, but I genuinely want to help people have an impact on people's lives. Unfortunately, and fortunately, like Ryan and a couple other like martial arts instructors have helped, I've been able to help people genuinely quit their jobs and go full time with the thing they love. And that for me is really, really rewarding.
And obviously, yes, I want to build a business out of it so I can help my family even more so, obviously. But the main crux of it is that I've been doing this and I've been helping people for free for years or whatever because I genuinely love it, and it's my passion.
And it's about time. It's good that you help people for free, but everyone needs to eat.
Yeah, I think
Eventually
that's the thing is like, exactly right. That to me,
nothing wrong with charging.
no, nothing wrong with charging at all, and I don't have anything wrong with charging. So my plan with anyone I work with going forward is to promise to deliver on certain things, but long term, give them way more than what I've said I'm going to give them, and basically the value be way higher than the cost that they're paying. You know, that's the perfect business. If you can have a business where you're charging for a service and you're being paid nicely for it, but the value that you're giving is completely outweighing the fee that they're paying, you're onto a winner.
Yeah.
And then it's just a case of getting more social proof, testimonials, reviews, having. That's the other thing. Just quickly, anyone that's gotten a business and you're not sure quite where to start out in order to get more members, get as many testimonials as you can. Get reviews of people who are big fans of you, and ask them 3 questions so they can answer in their testimonial. These might change as time goes on. Who knows? Maybe I'll have other ideas. But it's like, what was life like before working with us? And what did it look like? And how was your fitness and health? What is your life and fitness like as a result of working with us? What's your favourite thing about being part of our community in our classes? And who would you recommend to our classes and why? That's your great base for a testimonial. Yeah. So ask your core members them, and then just share it. Just like get people sharing their honest opinion, and you'll be surprised what people have to say. Like, you know, I've had people tell me I've genuinely changed their life or their kid's life or whatever. And yes, it's really heartwarming for me, but the best part about it is that once you build up so many views and testimonials, and you can share that with other people in the local area, when they come to your socials, they can see you're not just talking about what you do, but there's 10, 20, 30 other people talking about what you do. That just helps instantly. It's like on Amazon, right? You go to Amazon, you want to buy something, you usually purchase a product with the best reviews and the most. Same with
I do literally.
Everyone does.
Because back to the authenticity, trust.
Exactly.
Because they're real people. It's not you just looking at a camera all day going, pick me because I can help you with this, like there are thousands of other people. You've actually got real life stories that you've impacted.
And that's another point.
Your mission.
Talk about it. In your marketing, you've always got to be thinking that the person reading your email, watching your video, whatever it is that they're consuming, they're thinking, if you're trying to get something off them, they're thinking, well, what's in it for me? You've got to paint that picture really clearly and make it sound like you're doing them a favor, basically, which you should be. You should be providing them a good service and value. That's very important. You don't have that get energy. If you've got that get energy where you're going in to do something and it's very obvious that you're doing it because you want something out of it, that people will pick that up straight away, and you're not going to get very far doing that.
Yeah, because they can sense that, like you say, they're in it for monetary gain or some form of gain for themselves rather than...
And obviously they are. They are in it for monetary gain,
of course. But it should become passion first, and the money. They always say that anything you start, passion first, a keen understanding, want to learn properly, and then that follows. Not if you start thinking money, you're going to get tied up and say, why aren't I earning? Then your expectations come into it. So I want to earn 20 grand a month. I'm only earning 300 quid. This is crap. I'm going to go on something else. So that's when it becomes short-lived and stuff like that. But what I want to ask about, one more thing I want to ask about, is what's the biggest thing you've learned from in the journey that you're on, helping people? So what's like the biggest thing you'd have taken from it for yourself personally?
What, through all the ways of help people like kickboxing?
Like the what's the biggest thing you've learned? So whether that could be I'm not sure, like how to help people or getting over your own anxieties of actually doing that, or there's loads of things I can imagine, but
loads of things
there's tons. What's one of the one that I suppose sitting here today and we're you're soon going to be launching the 90-day program, that whole journey. So is it to be kinder to yourself? Is it to take your time?
I know what it is.
Go on.
I think could be wrong. There's lots of things.
There's tons.
But just that springs to mind is like, be nice to yourself, but also everything's down to you. And ultimately, you have to take full responsibility of every situation. Even if you're in a situation where you're in the situation, and initially it wasn't because of your doing. It is then your responsibility to change things going forward. And as we know, the world is a very like, you know, a lot of people live in the world nowadays where they feel like they're owed everything. From a young age, for some reason, I just feel like I was never owed anything. It was down to me, probably because my mum and dad were both self-employed all my life, and I've seen them graft. And like my dad's had, he won't mind me saying this, but he's had multiple patents on products and stuff over the years, and like he's had different businesses. So I've seen that. My mum's always been done her thing and worked really hard, being a self-employed hairdresser and stuff. So, and they've had that get up and go energy. So for me, as the years have gone on, whether it be kickboxing and teaching people, or training and trying to get fit and healthier, or helping people in business and whatnot, like it's my responsibility ultimately to reach that goal, help that person, and to be the best I can be. And that sitting around, and don't get me wrong, I have days where I'm maybe a bit down or upset, not too often, but like, okay, you got to get back on the wagon. And nothing lasts forever. No one feeling lasts forever. We have like all these emotions that come over time. We don't want to stick with one feeling, emotion. We want to try our best to know that that's only going to be, you got to stay with it for the time being, but eventually it's going to go. You know, and just try your best. I always tell my son a few different things, which is try your best, and maybe they sound a bit cringy, but try your best. There is always a way, genuinely. Don't ask, don't get. Right? And yeah, just don't feel like you're owed anything, because you're not, you know, you're really not.
You're not owed anything as well, because when you said that ties quite nicely into yours, because your mum and dad are self-employed, don't mean to say you'd have the ambition to do that.
No.
I know you see that, and people do say you're a reflection of in a way of your parents growing up and things like that, depending what you've gone through. But to be honest with you aren't owed a business because your mum and dad are employed. You had to actually use your own ambition to, you know, you found a thing, you stuck at it, you did it. You helped a lot of people, situation changed. You want to help, you went through that shit time of only what you know, what happened there, to which, you know, other people are going through that struggles, and you can help them because you've invested, and people are getting this program that you spent a lot of money for, a lot of time, because time's more expensive than money. So, and you're putting it in this program that actually can help people. It's not just one of these fads.
No, it's not. I think because it's structured as a 90-day program, which is obviously very common in well, all sort of industries. I want people to understand that, like, it's not just a fad. Like, from the offset, from when anyone's first enrolls with me on this 90-day program, instantaneously there's stuff they can go away and take action on in order to grow their business. And then obviously as the time goes on, there's more complex things that I will teach them and that they have to learn for the consistent growth. But yeah, no, it's the real deal.
What's one thing you had to learn for the 90-day program and the business that you are now?
One thing I had to learn?
Yes. What's one thing you had to learn?
In terms of just like
setting it up, setting it up. So just in terms of what stuck out. So if you're transitioning to help other people in loads of different, in the fitness space, you know, huge area. What's one thing you have to learn yourself to do in a way, like as in not marketing, not that like your personal thing, like I talk in a certain way.
Mainly just like goes back to the same stuff I mentioned earlier, but helping people, like building rapport, spreading goodwill, building the know, like, and trust. Because when you can be, if I can get someone comfortable with just being around me talking about family life, general shit, they're then going to probably trust me a lot more when it comes to me giving advice on business. So I've just learned that. And I guess I learned this through growing my own martial arts school, because it's the way I'm in business is the way I'm through teaching my members. I'm fully me. I'm normal. I talk about my family. You know, we have a laugh, we have a joke. It's all very casual. I've never been. There's a lot of martial arts instructors that are like this, and probably if you boxing coach and stuff, they are the lead. They like, okay, there's got to be a leader. Someone's got to lead, but they are the man in the room or the lady in the room. Everyone should bow down, and it's like limited chat, right? You know, I'm the opposite. Like, cool, yeah, like I might be more advanced than all of you here. My job, I tell my members this all the time, my number one job is to help you be the best you can and be way better than I could ever be. And that's what I tell them all. Because why bother otherwise? You know, why, like, and again, there's a lot of instructors, like, they want to stay the best, they want to be the best. And yes, you should always be, you know, aiming to push yourself, you know, so you can be that leader. But just give people opportunities and be open and be yourself. And I would probably say that, yeah, going into this new business, helping instructors, I learned a lot from growing my own school and just working with people. People are complex.
Yeah.
People are strange.
They have
People
different
are
needs.
quirky. People have different needs. You've got different types of characters. Another skill that I've sort of learned really well over the years, I guess we all do it to a degree, is learning how to interact with different types of people, right? And how and learning how to quickly assess them, effectively, you know, judging them fairly quickly to then think, well, how am I going to then interact? You know, like, I spoke with all sorts of people from, you know, be yourself, and
It's called getting on a level with them.
yeah, get on a level with them.
Yeah. In a honest way.
Yeah.
Honest way, rather than, so like going from talking to somebody who might be homeless and going, oh, like, almost not pity, but you know, that sort of way, like, oh, I feel really, to someone who's a millionaire, like, oh, what can I get from you? So it's not like that. It's about you being yourself and putting your opinions forward in a way that is natural to you, you know, like, without alienating anybody as well, and just being yourself, because that's the hardest thing to do sometimes, especially in this world with social media. That's crazy place sometimes.
Yeah, social media is less important than what actually happens in real life chats and conversation. You know, like, it is, like, because fortunately, like, for my classes, for example, I am fully myself in my classes with the parents, with the adults that train with me, so much so that, like, I get in referrals, people that want to just join us. I've gone priority and waiting lists for different classes because people are like, oh, you know, I get parents, oh, I know 7 or 8 kids that train with you from school, and all the parents have good things to say about you. It's like, okay, cool. I've not had to push for that person to want to get in touch with me. They just want to because they've heard all these other people, because from the offset, I've always been myself. I've tried to get to know the kids as individuals, their parents as individuals, their brother or sisters, their grandparents. I've made loads of effort purposefully. You know, whenever I'm teaching knowing the parents watching me, because I want to make sure that that parent knows that I have their kid's best interest at heart, and adults as well. Like, you know, I'm teaching them, I'm being fully myself. Sometimes that means I'm direct and to the point, but it's because, you know, I want the best for them.
Yeah. And that translates into
Same as in business.
Yes, it translates straight over to your business, because it shows that you care and you actually give a fuck about what people are doing. Because you have to care just as much as they care about the business.
Definitely.
You're not there to just sell a plan. You're there to do
100%.
it. So, and what would you say? Would you give any advice to anybody who's thinking of starting a maybe a fitness business or martial arts instructing? What advice would you give to them off the offset now, where they might be, whatever stage of what journey they're in? Just what?
Yeah.
Is there any that's helped you, that's stuck out again?
Yeah. So if there's an instructor that wants to teach people on a class basis, I think you'll have one type of class where you're teaching one thing. Mine's kickboxing. Chopper's is kettlebells. Eventually he might want to do more stuff, but he's got a team, right? But teach one thing. Don't try and teach a whole bunch of things. Also, have maybe 1 or 2 ways that people can get that thing. So it might be classes or it might be one-to-ones. Don't have loads of options. Too many options, people get confused and overwhelmed. 1 or 2 options. Then have a great offer to get people involved with that thing. For example, I 2-week free, no obligation training offer. So come and train with me for 2 weeks free. On the first week, I'll explain how the membership works going forward for ongoing. But after 2 weeks, if you don't want to continue, that's absolutely fine. I won't press you. But people do sign up.
Yeah.
Right. So have a great offer. I wouldn't charge off the... Okay, it depends where your business is at, but we're talking for like new people, right? I wouldn't be trying to sell big programs or do like paid intros if you haven't already got the social proof and testimonials and whatnot on the back end. If you're starting out fresh, free introductory offer works great. Maybe over time, once you've built up and you're not, you know, after loads of people joining, you can maybe do paid intros and stuff, but that's different ballgame. Yeah, so have a great offer, have a service, have an end, like there's got to be an end outcome. So why are people coming to you? Well, they're coming to you to get this result, and you've got to make that clear in your marketing. I could talk about a lot of stuff to be fair.
Yeah, don't give away the plan for free.
No. I mean, I'm happy to give as much
Yeah.
as it needs to be, you know. That's the other thing, right? People don't pay for advice, they pay for implementation. So, you know, some of the best marketers and business people in the world, or that I've worked with as well, like, they will give their stuff. They will tell you. But, and myself and other people have worked with them because they've had the knowledge and the information, but then they want to work with that person to pay them to get the implementation. And that's what actually people pay for.
Yeah.
So, like, anyone can teach you, like, this, for example, martial arts, kickboxing, or kettlebells, or lifting, or whatever. There's hundreds of thousands of videos on YouTube, but why aren't people, why aren't people doing that? Anyway, I'm digressing.
No.
So, yeah. What your question was, if someone's starting out,
Yeah. What advice?
what advice would I give them? Don't have loads of classes all in one go. Have 1 or 2 max that you want to open. Be specific on what it is you're going to be doing during those classes and why people should come to you. Don't just highlight the features, highlight the benefits. And when you highlight the benefits, don't just say get fitter, get healthier, blah, blah, blah. Explain how that's going to impact their lifestyle and benefit their family and so on. So then the why becomes deeper and the reason for them doing it becomes deeper than just, I want to get fit, I want to get healthy. And then follow through on it when they come down, obviously. Make sure that you're providing that good energy, that good environment, the community aspect. Make sure they feel like they're a part of something. People want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So make sure that you're helping them get that opportunity by being a part of your thing. Again, like I mentioned a few times now, make sure that introductory offer is really good. And when they do want to continue with you, don't try and make a big thing out of the sales. If you haven't already, I have like a structure for how I get people signed up to my classes. I wouldn't even call it sales. It's a conversation.
Okay.
I give that out to people to just use in their own business. So if you want that, message me and I'll send it over. But yeah, just have a conversation. Just explain how things work going forward. Don't give too many options. Don't say, you can do pay as you go, or you can do this, or you can do that. Just have like 1, maybe 2 options max. And say, this is how it works going forward. Explain to them the situation, and then say, would you be happy to continue training with us, or would you like me to get things in place so we can get you signed up? And just make it really casual.
It's making it simplifying it in a way from what I've got.
Yeah.
Because people, like you say, 1 or 2 options. There's so many out there now where they've got this class, that, and you're kind of like, you're overwhelmed, and immediately you're kind of a bit like, I think it's too much effort to, because people's attention spans are small. So they might look at it and go, there's 6 options for a membership. Oh God, I don't know what's best. And then I've got to speak to someone. It takes me a day to find out what I need.
No.
So simplifying it is the biggest message.
Yeah. And also, don't get a website straight away.
Okay.
Don't get a website straight away.
Okay.
Build your social media, be it Facebook or Instagram.
Okay.
Build your social proof. Have an opportunity. Have something set up so people can book in with you. You don't need a website for that. Websites are for like longer term. You know, you can everything you need to be able to get up and running and to get your first 10, 20, 30 members. More should you need to. You can just do through social media and having basic software to put in place. They're actually free as well. Because websites, again, it's just people spend a lot of money on them. They're confusing for the consumer if they come on and there's so many options. They go on there with the intention to book. They see all this shit. They read all this shit. There's too many words, too much copy, too many images. It's not formatted correctly. They end up leaving the website because they're overwhelmed. Yeah, don't bother with the website.
I got one more question. How important is brand compared to the actual class linked? So do both of them have to link together? So if we've got your classes, does your social just for your classes have to also be strong to marry a brand together, so people can see on Instagram, whatever platform you use, that you put the effort into the classes, obviously, but you also the effort into the brand of the thing that you are giving to the consumer?
Yeah, I think I get what you're asking there.
Yeah, so your social, does it have to, you're a very high quality kickboxing coach, do you also have to have a very high quality social media presence?
I think that
do they go hand in hand?
They do sort of go hand in hand, but I wouldn't worry about it if you're first getting up and running. For example, if I had to go away today and I was getting up and running with my classes, knowing what I know now, the number one thing that I would do is I would write up some basic copy which highlights, which calls out a local area, highlights my free offer, highlights some of their pain points and problems, talks about how I help people, again, my free offer, call to action.
Okay.
I would take that copy.
Yeah.
I'd test 3 or 4 different images of videos, and I would be blitzing Facebook groups
Okay.
and for sale sites, and I'd be posting every day.
Okay.
Administrations would get pissed off. So and this is what I used to do.
Yeah.
And I'd be rinsing it. And some of the posts will get fuck all. Some of the posts will get 1 or 2 likes. Some of the posts will get 2, 3, 4 comments. It's a bit of hit and miss.
Yeah.
And I'd rinse that. And I'd get people, 1 call to action, comment the word interested for more details.
Yeah.
Don't say, go to my website. Don't say email me or give a number necessarily. Well, maybe a number, but as long as it's 1 call to action, comment the word interested. And I've done this, right? People comment the word interested. I like that thing.
Your leads.
Yeah, they're my leads. I reply, hey, Jane, thanks so much. Just drop you a quick DM.
Yeah.
Check it out. All those people I do that with, drop them a message. And I wouldn't go into, this is another thing instructors problem that they make is they say, hi, Jane, thanks for your inquiry. We run classes at this day at this time, this day at this time, this day at this time. They're suitable for all these people. We charge this much per class, or this much per month, or this much per thingy, and this is how we do it, and they give in all this information. Don't do that. Go in and say, hey, thanks, Jane, for your inquiry for our 5 to 6 year old kickbox classes. What's the main reason for your interest?
Yeah.
But you just left it with them.
Yeah.
So the ball's in their court. Oh, the main reason I'm interested, Sam, is because my 5-year-old really struggles with his confidence at school, and I feel like martial arts could be beneficial because I've heard, what it could do to help him. Cool. We'd love to be able, if they make the name, we'd love to be able to help Noah. When you you just get, basically you don't want to overload them with any information. Don't give, right? Just ask questions, get to understand why. And once you're 2 or 3 questions in, the next question would be, cool, Jane, so I can properly help you and get an understanding as to how we could potentially help Noah and get him booked in for a 2-week free introduction.
Yeah.
What's the best number to contact you on?
Yeah.
Cool, here's my number, Sam. Brilliant. I'll drop you a call in 3 or 5 minutes or tomorrow at this, whatever. Drop him a call on the call.
There we go.
You mentioned, Jane, that Noah's struggling with confidence. You'd like to get him involved in martial arts. Obviously, we'd love to help him. And in a minute, we can chat about how we get him for reintroduction. But explain to me, why is this why you suddenly want to take action on this? So they're telling you.
Yeah.
They give that rather than you saying, we can give you all this stuff for a kid
yeah.
or for you as an adult, help you in all these areas. You're asking a question, they're telling you why they need you. So you ask enough questions, don't have to overdo it. And depending on who you're talking to, if I'm talking to a parent about their 5-year-old, I'm going to ask certain questions. If I'm talking to an adult for themselves about our adults program, I'm going to ask them different questions, probably. Not loads, just a few. And then, I'll always ask their permission. Are you happy for me to explain how the 2-week free introduction works? Yeah, of course they are. No one's ever said no, fuck off.
Yeah.
2 weeks free introduction, that sounds good. They feel like, and because I've asked those questions, they feel like I care, which I do care.
No, yeah.
I genuinely want to understand why. And that does a few things, which I'll get into in a minute. But then, they say, yeah, cool. And then you say, look, we have this. Don't give them all the class times. And it's some free advice here. Don't give them all your class times and days. Say, we have Monday at 6 p.m. and Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. Which one works best for you? Yeah. They'll pick one. If they don't, say, cool, understood. We also have Thursday at 6 a.m. or Tuesday at whatever time. Yeah. Which one of them works best for you? Eventually, one's going to work best. Yeah. Don't overload them. Ideally, try and get them into class that you want to fill spaces in. Yeah. Cool. I'll get you booked in now. And hopefully at this point, you've got their name, email, and number. Book them into an online system. And then they're booked in. Yeah. And then, again, a bit more complex, but it's not too hard. But you can get reminders sent out days prior, on the day of their session. You can go one step further and drop them a quick call. Hey, Jane, really excited to have Noah down today. It's just basically creating touch points. Definitely. And you're creating rapport so that by the time that person walks in the room with their kid or as an adult themselves, you've had multiple touch points. So they feel like they already know you to a degree and they trust you. Oh, Jane, we spoke on the phone. I'm Sam. Oh, hi, Sam. And they've got a preconceived idea of who I am and what I'm about. Yeah. One, because, we've had those chats. Yeah. Maybe they've seen testimonials, reviews. So then all I have to do is give Noah a good class or that adult a good class. Yeah. And then say to them, is it okay with you if I explain how things work? Yeah. Asking for permission. Rather than saying, it's £5, it's £10 a class. If you want to join, come. If you don't, that's fine.
It's classic PT. Do you know if you put your email to David Lloyd, you'll get a call from David Lloyd saying basically hi. Now it's a sales pitch. Hi, it's 80 quid, mate. Where's your card details? In a way is what they're trying to get you to do, and then you've got a meeting. So it's doing it in a legitimate, caring way, without overloading them. Have you ever heard actually of somebody called Simon Sinek?
Yes, and it's instead of the hows, like the first example you said, where somebody was giving them loads of information, overloading how we can do this, not why we do this. And I think that's quite interesting in what you said, because people sell the hows, not the whys. And a good example I heard of this in that book actually was MP3 players. MP3 players back in the day, USB sticks, and you got a Creative, which was like a cheap PC World make,
Right.
like an 8GB. I don't know, 8GB MP3 player you stick and you can whack in your computer. Then you've got an iPod, which was cool. It was more of a cool thing to have on it. Everyone had the big wheel thing, but their marketing was really interested in what Simon was saying in his book, and he was saying the Creative just marketed it as a 8GB stick, 8GB of music. Basically, they just told you what it was, so what it can do for you. So, but Apple said 1,000 songs in your pocket. So, and I mean, by saying, some people know what they want. I need an 8GB Creative 20 quid stick to whack in my some people to whack in my in my car. But some people, a lot of people actually, that you don't necessarily know this, wouldn't know how many songs you could get. How do I find? Yeah. So Apple actually really clever, and they go 1,000 songs in your pocket, and you kind of like that would sell. You could even imagine 8GB one here, Sam. 1,000 songs. Well, I want 1,000 songs. You can almost relate to what I thought. That's a hell of a lot of songs in my pocket. What do you want a CD? I've got stacks of CD at home that's probably got about 400 on them.
Exactly.
So it's just a clever. I think that's a really hard thing to understand, the why. When I was reading that book, I was kind of thinking in my own personal life, and I was like, how would I explain instead of the hows, whys? And I think that's because you need to get to the deeper meaning of what you're doing it for. It literally is like, and then everything that you do from there on then has to revolve around that why, not how, because the how is the overload of information of what you can provide. The why is, why are you doing it? Because I'm going to help Noah with his confidence. I want to help him. And that can come secondary, but like you just explained in your example, the why is what comes first.
You.
Exactly right. And that's a question that I will quite literally ask when I'm on the phone with them. I want to talk to them again in person, because when they come to the answer class, I'll bring up those things again. To again go, oh fucking hell, Sam really does care. And I do genuinely. I'm not doing it just to try and side them up. Why is it important? How, why? In what way is this going to impact them ongoing? And that's the reason people do things long term. A small minority will do it because of the features and because like you just mentioned, but a lot of people, there's a much deeper meaning.
There is.
Why they're doing it, and which is also partly just quickly why we should never judge. Like, if you don't already do what we've just spoke about, and you have people attending your classes, you might think they're coming along each week because they want to train an hour doing whatever. That might not be the reason. Most of the time, it's not the reason. Most of the time, they want to be in the environment. They want to be around you. They want to be a part of, they have a status about being a kickboxer, being someone that runs, whatever it might be, or lifts or whatever. There's a status behind it too, whether they know it or not. So,
and you could talk about the hows, whys, what's, whens, and who's all the time. At the end of the day, it's in the action, it's in the doing. And if people want, just to add on to your list that you said, at the start, I said, what would you tell, a few minutes ago, I said, what would you tell somebody who's starting out? I think got to add one more into there. Speak to you. So like chat to you, literally, because somebody who's been through that whole, as I've said before, been through that whole journey, understands psychology, because for social media and all this is, let's not get it twisted, it's psychology. What makes you tick? That's what I ask myself when I'm doing it sometimes. What makes me go, oh, I want to watch that? Not, oh, fuck this, I'm not watching this. So that's what I ask myself, because I'm not the target necessarily for things, but if I think it's waffle, I'll be like, people are probably going to think it's waffle. So how would somebody then today get in contact with you and learn about your business? I know we've touched upon it briefly, but I just want to give a clear answer to how.
So if someone wanted to work with me, quite simply, just drop me a message on Instagram. That's my main sort of social platform at the minute. My Facebook is primarily for my kickboxing stuff and the parents and the community I built there. My Instagram is for all the new stuff. Just drop me a message. If you have a question for me, please, in the most politest way possible, be specific with your question. don't try not to voice note me, but I don't mind. But like, be specific with your question, and I will give you anything that you need. Like, I'll tell you. And if you want to go one step further, then I'm happy to also speak with you and have a call. But if you know you're someone that just wants to work together, that's also cool. I'll just send across my offer and the way it works in the 90-day program. And the good thing about what I'm doing this new program is I want to make it so that it's affordable. So you can literally get started on the 90-day program to have everything that you need to be able to create consistent flow of members, to be able to build, your revenue each month, and to create a real business. You can get started from £75.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the idea, is that anyone can get involved. And that's not just for people who are solo instructors. The same things that I'm teaching apply to anyone that wants to run a larger gym. The same stuff I've done with Ryan is the same stuff I'm doing for solo instructors. The same stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Obviously, and
what's your Instagram handle?
_.
Yeah.
Sam Trickett.
Yeah.
Maybe
we'll
Sam.
Put it up.
Anyway. Yeah.
We'll put it up.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. But and like I say, more than anything, any questions, I'm just happy to answer.
Yeah. And you're proud of, you can tell you're really proud of the achievement you've done with this 90-day plan.
Yeah.
It's great.
I've put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah.
And the reason it took me so long, probably like 3 or 4 months to put it together, is because I've been iterating it non-stop. And now it's ready to go.
Because you care.
Because I care.
Mate.
Try to.
So yeah, people, if you hit Sam up if you want advice, if you want to talk to him and get involved in the 90-day program. And thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
Cheers all. It's wicked.